11 CRPF Jawans have been martyred and 4 others have been injured in a Naxal attack in Chintagufa area of Sukma. Naxals triggered an IED blast to target the CRPF patrol party. This was reported by Sukma's additional superintendent of police Jitendra Shukla. The martyred CRPF Jawans belong to the 74th battalion of the CRPF. The killer ambush took place at Burkapal near Dornapal station. Naxals have looted all the arms and ammunition of the Jawans. At around 11:30, Jawans left Burkapal 2 kilometers away from Chintagufa. Naxals launched an attack. DG CRPF along with senior officials is to fly to Sukma tomorrow. The injured Jawans have been taken to Raipur Hospital. Centre calls high-level meeting on the Naxal bloodbath. The Home Secretary has called a meeting of additional secretaries and joint secretaries of the Naxal division. Home Secretary is meeting the officials of the Naxal division after 11 CRPF men were butchered in this area. All right, so this is the latest that we are getting in. In fact, 7 CRPF Jawans, those who were injured, have been evacuated using a chopper. This area is notorious for the Naxal violence, and there have been many occasions on which the CRPF officials have personnel have come under attack by the Naxals in this area. Let me now go across to my colleague Kamaljit Kaur Sandhu, who is joining me live for more on this story. Kamal, first of all, what's the situation as of now? How many people were in this patrol party that was ambushed, in which 11 Jawans have attained martyrdom?
Well, Ankit, specifically speaking about the incident, there were 100 CRPF, 74 battalion soldiers. They came under an ambush from 100 odd Maoists. That's the figures that been shared by the CRPF. So clearly it was 100 versus 100. There was firing which was on. We do not know whether Naxal suffered any sort of casualty, but heavy casualties suffered by CRPF. We know the figure has already gone up to 12. We know 7 CRPF personnel have been injured. At least 5 of them have been chest body injuries, which obviously means they have resulted in serious injuries. We've also been told by our sources very clearly that these soldiers were rushed into Raipur and Naxal hospital on priority basis in a chopper.
Kamal, I just request you to stay on with me. We just quickly let's listen into this reaction that we have got from Lieutenant General Raj Kadyan, Defence and Strategic Affairs expert.
Mao-infested area. They will move on the road, then their movement can be seen from a long distance and ambushing them is easier. I think they need to change their tactics and they need to move more tactically and avoiding the main roads. That will naturally cut down the speed, that will add to the difficulty level, but if you have to save blood, then you have to sweat it out. All these ambushes take place because of the local support. The locals are always in the know of it. The government needs to take steps to reduce that economic deprivation or some kind of alienation that the local population is suffering.
Let me go back to Kamaljit Kaur Sandhu, who's live with us on this story. Kamal, now, what's the next step as far as the top brass of CRPF is concerned and the Ministry of Home is concerned?
Well, Ankit, what we know is that as many as 24 CRPF Jawans would have been killed. This is a significant number. Even the BG ambush had at least 13 soldiers who had laid down their lives. But this is unprecedented. We also know that CRPF DG along with senior officers will be rushing to the area tomorrow. There also confirmed report that the Home Minister Rajnath Singh is also likely to go there. But yes, as far as development is concerned, as far as road opening is concerned, and remember there was a road construction which was done, a similar tactic used by Mao. Now if I can try and show you, it's an L-shaped encounter. That means from the front and from the side. That's where the Naxals really attacked, leaving little scope for any sort of escape mechanism. Now, so obviously a region, especially Chintagufa, we've been told when the soldiers left around 11:30, they walked straight into a trap. And in the BT itself, they also use bows and arrows and more of a Rambo style sort of an attack. But here the information is still trickling in. But if the news about more than 20 soldiers and hearing as many as 24 soldiers may have borne the brunt of Naxal attack, this is going to be a huge setback. But at this point of time, a crucial setback at a time, Naxals have time and again used a similar strategy. That means they know the movement, they know there's a road construction happening, they have a timing, the intelligence is also there. But the response mechanism by the CRPF is the one which is really suffering because obviously they do not know the movement. They're suffering from a direct bullet attack, and that is causing a lot of blood. So a serious thing taken by the Home Secretary a short while ago. He called in the Additional Secretary and the JS level officer who was called in for a meeting. So MH is taking cognizance, but coming at a point where MH is claiming that Naxal figures have gone down. They're claiming it's been lowest in the last 3 to 4 years, saying it's come to a abyssal level. That's the time when Naxals have attacked and shown that they have their presence in the Naxal belt of Sukma.
Kamal, if you could also tell us, as you were giving out these details, this unfortunate detail about a toll rising to 24. The Naxals, we believe, have also looted the weapons of these martyred soldiers. You were saying that it cannot be confirmed whether Naxals suffered any casualties. Their modus operandi usually is that even if they have a fallen comrade, they take that person with them. What is the situation on the ground right now? Have the situation come under control, or is the ambush still going on? All right, we have lost that audio link with Kamal. We are trying to quickly get it back so that we can get more details on this horrific attack in Sukma. This is in Chattisgarh, just kilometers away from Jagdalpur. In fact, the CRPF Jawans, those who were injured, were rushed by choppers to Raipur, the state capital. This is the area which is notorious for such attacks, and this is not the first time the CRPF has borne the brunt of the Naxal attack in this area. There have been repeated calls of changing the tactics every few months, or at least every once a year. We do see such a massive ambush by the Naxals, which is mounted on the CRPF men. Let me quickly cut across to Mr. P.K. Mishra. He's a defense analyst. Sir, first of all, a very unfortunate story coming in there. Once again, CRPF Jawans 24 now is the toll that is being confirmed by our sources. What is going wrong, and why are our men being butchered by the Maoists in the same area?
Yes. In fact, I just came to know this has happened, and the last attack which was there in only last month, I had been to that particular place in Sukma. And it so happened that in the very routine way, the road opening party was sent, in fact, without having any intelligence and without being prepared for anything. Even there was no arrangement for casualty evacuation. And they were shocked, they were ambushed, they lost it. And the barbaric way the weapons were snatched, it never happened, and Naxalites never behaved in that way. But they never taught a lesson from that incident which happened just before 15-20 days. And this particular incident, Chintagufa, it's not a new phenomenon in Chintagufa. This is an area which is very well known to be totally under the control of Maoists. And it so happened that perhaps the tactics which is being undertaken by the CRPF boys, and the field craft and the tactics and the terrain analysis which is being done, perhaps it is not matching to that of the Naxals. And the worst part of it, intelligence collection is the poorest as far as those areas concerned. And we get proud that we government has given us all the facilities like that of the helicopters, for evacuation casualties. Helicopters are there, and NTRO has been placed at Chattisgarh for helicopter operation, for the satellites and drone intelligence. But I can tell you that no helibound operations have ever been conducted in that area, and we have not yet been successful in entering in the interior areas of the Naxal.
So I would also like to draw your attention to what was happening there. What we have been told is that the Maoists were armed with sophisticated weapons like AK-47 and other weapons. And there is a road construction that is going on, and the CRPF men, those who went out, were to secure a patch of where the construction was to take place. This is a Maoist stronghold. This couldn't have happened without the support of the local element as far as the Maoists are concerned. What was the standard operating procedure that possibly was not followed? Did they use the same route? Because this lesson probably is not been entrenched enough in our soldiers that they fall prey to this again and again.
Yes, you are absolutely taking the correct question, because it is the same way which has happened earlier. It's the same road construction was happening, and the second day they were going to the same point and were ambushed because the excavators, bulldozer were ready, and one company plus platoon, 4 platoon strength they went, and a full platoon they were totally wiped out with their weapons they were snatched. This is the same way this particular party, they have gone for protection of the road which is being constructed, the 100-kilometer patch of road, and about 10 or 15 kilometers they were being constructed, and the CRPF was going to give the defensive position for that. Perhaps they have not studied the ground, they could not get the intelligence, and perhaps they were not prepared, and the SOP they have not followed at all, for which they have faced this consequence.
So I request you to stay on with me. Executive Editor Gaurav Sawant also joins us for more on this. Gaurav, very unfortunate news this. 24 Jawans have been massacred. They have been sprayed with bullets in this ambush in which 24 of them have lost their life and 7 others are seriously injured. They have been airlifted to Raipur. What's the initial assessment as far as the Ministry of Home is concerned, and what from here on?
Ankit, there is a meeting in the Ministry of Home Affairs even as we speak. Minister of State for Home, Hansraj Ahir, will travel to ground zero. What we're also being told is that the Chattisgarh Chief Minister Raman Singh is also cutting short his visit. He'll be visiting the affected site. The Director General of CRPF is also visiting. But while these visits may just be an assessment, as our expert was telling us, unfortunately, Ankit, there are no lessons learned. This isn't the first time that an incident like this has happened. Every time that standard operating procedures are not followed, incidents like these continue to happen. And in the past, Ankit, there was a report that was prepared after the Chintalnar encounter which spoke of 2 things. One, when you don't follow SOPs, the Maoists who are keeping a hawk eye on every activity, they exploit every loophole. And 2, when officers and men do not train together, do not operate together, that is the time when they are unable to operate in a situation where Maoists outnumber them, surround them from all sides, open fire, and then there's a wave after wave of attack by Maoists. In this particular case, Ankit, there will be an inquiry that will reveal more details. But past 2 encounters, both times SOPs were not followed, and both times, unfortunately, CRPF personnel were cannon fodder for the Maoists.
Gaurav, before I quickly go across to Mr. Mishra again, very quickly, if you could tell us, this has been spoken about so many times about SOPs not being followed, about how the CRPF top brass comes from the Indian police services. They're not the people, those who train with them in the same situations that you have been pointing out. Where does the accountability lie? We have also seen, apart from this human failure or possibly their failure to follow the SOP, the lack of bulletproof jackets, helmets and other equipment as well.
You've hit the nail on its head. There is no accountability, whether it's at the political level or at the level of the CRPF top brass. Which CRPF top brass in the past has lost his job, has been punished, has been put in the dock for 75 personnel losing their life in one encounter, 25 losing in another encounter, or the entire political leadership of a state being wiped out in another encounter? So there have been a series of incidents. Who lost his job? Who was sent to jail? This is a case where the top brass, and especially the leadership, there should be a case of murder against them. Find out where is the problem. Find out where is lack of accountability. In the past, there was a suggestion that was made, because you have IPS officers who come for some years and then they go back. There is need You take retiring officers of the Indian Army Short Service Commission and retiring Jawans of the Indian Army, raise a specialized force, they train together, they operate together, they share the same tent, so there is a esprit de corps in all of them. Then let them operate in that area. That also hasn't been followed because of turf wars and what is an IPS lobby and what is not an IPS turf.
Let me go across to Mr. Prakash Singh. He's former DGP of CRPF. Sir, on a day like this, when the force loses 24 Jawans, we are also getting reports that 7 of these soldiers are still missing. Many are critically injured. There are being questions that will, of course, be raised. Why this same area and same tactics being used by Maoists and our Jawans, falling prey to that?
A small correction first. I was Director General, not CRPF, but BSF. Anyway, coming to the incident, you see, such heavy casualties by CRPF is a matter of serious concern. And the first thing which the first direct message which it conveys is that all these government claims that they are on top of the Naxal situation and that the Naxal problem would be finished within the next 5 years, all these claims are hollow and they betray a sense of complacency. The Naxals are not only alive and kicking, but they have tremendous capacity to inflict lethal blows on the Central Armed Police Forces, which is what they have demonstrated. This is the first message. The second thing is, you see, after all, 24 CRPF Jawans have been killed. How is it that there are no casualties of the state police personnel? Where were they? Obviously, they were not there. So, you see, in this battle against Maoism or Naxalism, one of the greatest flaws, one of the greatest drawbacks is that the state police forces are leaning on the shoulders of the central government, and they think it is a battle of it is a battle which the central government has to fight with its own forces, and that they will only play a supporting role. Whereas actually, you will be able to tackle this problem only if the state police forces are in the front and they take a pivotal role, and the central forces play a supporting role. You see, the equations are all reversed, topsy-turvy, in fact. So that's why,
Sir, very quickly, if I may ask you about the leadership of CRPF. Gaurav and my colleague Gaurav and we were discussing about how the IPS officers go there for a few years, then come back to their parent cadre. Does that have any effect? Because there is again and again this question being raised that possibly there is a disconnect between those who make the policies, those who make these plans, and the Jawans, those who are on the ground. Shouldn't there be the leadership trained with these Jawans, people, those who have served with them, to understand better the kind of difficulties and the kind of SOPs that needs to be followed?
So there are two things which I would like to say in this context. Firstly, why is the CRPF leaderless today? You see, the Home Department owes an explanation to the country. Why have they not filled up the post of Director General of CRPF for the last, I think it's nearly 2 months now? You see, I mean, this is inexcusable.
All right, let me just now go across to Mr. Dinesh Kashyap. He's the Member of Parliament from Bastar. Mr. Kashyap, first of all, this is an incident that has taken place, a very sad incident, but not the first time that this incident has taken place in that particular area. और क्या जानकारी है आपके पास सर? Mr. Kashyap, can you hear me?
Hello.
जी कश्यप, मेरी आवाज आ रही है आपको?
हेलो
जी दिनेश कश्यप जी, मैं आपसे पूछना चाह रहा था कि अभी आपके पास और क्या जानकारी है इस इलाके में बार बार इस तरह के जो एम्बुश होते हैं, एनकाउंटर होते हैं सीआरपीएफ के और माओइस्ट के बीच में, और क्या जानकारी है सर आपके पास?
देखिए, मैं अभी बाहर हूँ, अभी मुझे पता लगा है कि 24 जवान मारे गए हैं। निश्चित तौर पे शहीदों के जो वो हैं उन जवानों को श्रद्धांजलि देते हैं, और इस प्रकार की घटना जो नक्सलियों ने जो किया है वारदात की वो करते हैं, तो ये जो है ना छुप करके जंगल में छुप करके वार करते हैं और इस तरह की घटना को अंजाम देते हैं।
सर लेकिन ये पहली बार तो छुपकर वार नहीं कर रहे हैं, उनका तो तरीका ही यही होता है। क्या आप मानते हैं कहीं ना कहीं जो राज्य सरकार है, रमन सिंह जी की राज्य सरकार इतने सालों से वहां पर है, फेल हुई है अपनी पॉलिसी में नक्सलियों को लेकर, बार बार इस तरह के हमले हो रहे हैं?
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है, बार बार कुछ घटना ऐसा हो जाता है, अलग बात है। बाकी जो है ना राज्य सरकार और केंद्र सरकार दोनों मिलकर इस पर काम करते हैं और शांति व्यवस्था काम करने के लिए, लोगों को विकास के लिए काम करते हैं। और कहीं चूक हुई होगी, मैं अभी तो मैं बाहर हूँ इसलिए पूरी जानकारी नहीं है, लेकिन जो है ना ये जो है ना अच्छी घटना नहीं है, बहुत गलत घटना है।
नहीं, गलत तो हुआ है सर, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं इस पे सवाल भी उठेगा कि किस तरीके का कार्यक्रम है राज्य सरकार का नक्सलियों को लेकर। अभी तक कुछ खास ऐसा नहीं दिख रहा है कि उनको काबू में करा जा सके। कई बार बात हुई कि 5 साल में नक्सलवाद खत्म कर देंगे। केंद्र में भी अब बीजेपी की सरकार है, यहां पर भी बीजेपी की सरकार है छत्तीसगढ़ में, उसके बावजूद भी नहीं लग रहा है कि वो नक्सलियों पर अंकुश लगाया जा पा रहा है।
नहीं, बहुत कुछ अंकुश लगा है। आप देख रहे हैं कि पिछले कुछ सालों में जो अभियान चलाया गया उसमें बहुत कुछ अंकुश लगा है। और जो है ना ये इतने सालों का जो वो है जख्म है, कुछ सालों में खत्म हो जाए ये संभव नहीं है, लेकिन धीरे धीरे ठीक हो जाएगा।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए दिनेश कश्यप जी। दैट वाज दिनेश कश्यप, member of parliament from Bastar, member of parliament from the BJP. Now, this is exactly what me and Gaurav were talking about: accountability, political as well, tactical as well, of the leadership of not only the CRPF but of the politicians in the state of Chattisgarh, where the BJP is ruling. These incidents keep happening. We'll come back to this story.